Okay, good day everyone. So for today, we will start to discuss our second lesson in statistics, which is all about the levels of measurement and all about the sampling techniques. So what is our objectives for this day? First is we will define and differentiate the four levels of measurement. We will discuss the importance of level of measurement. We will differentiate the types of sampling techniques, their uses and advantages and disadvantages. And last is we will measure and define recommended sample size. So let's start with the levels of measurement. So a variable has one of the different levels of measurement. We have the nominal, ordinal, interval, or ratio. So interval and ratio levels of measurement are sometimes called the continuous or scale. So pag binalikan natin yung lesson natin last week, we discussed about the qualitative and quantitative. So, yun yung tatandaan natin kapag pinag-uusapan natin sa levels of measurement. So, pag sinabi natin qualitative, it is all about the quality. We just categorize the given attributes and characteristics. While quantitative, quantity, it can be countable or measurable. So, we have four. Nominal and ordinal is under the qualitative data, and interval and ratio is under the quantitative data. So now, why is level of measurement important? So it is important for the researcher to understand the different level of measurement, as those levels of measurement together with how the research question is phrased dictate what statistical analysis is appropriate. So, kung paano na po natin gawin yung ating research question, dinidictate po kasi noon kung anong statistical analysis yung dapat nating gamitin. Okay, so let's start with the nominal level of measurement. So, nominal, it is the weakest level of measurement. So, it is under the categorical or under the qualitative variable. So, here, we just categorize the characteristics or attributes. So, nominal level of measurement arises when we have variables that are categorical and non-numeric, or where the numbers have no sense of ordering. So, remember po, in nominal, we just categorize the characteristics or attributes. And then here, no sense of ordering. Okay, so let's have this example. So in example number 1, we have the jersey number in basketball. Even though player number 24, which is Kobe, has higher number than player number 23, which is LeBron, you can't say from the data that he's greater than or more than the other. So, hindi porket mas mataas yung number 24 kaysa kay number 23, mas mataas na din si Kobe kaysa kay LeBron. So, nare-represent lang ng number na yan yung player natin ng basketball. So, kinakategorize lang sa paggamit ng number. Next, write 1 as category for male and write 2 as category for female. So, even though si 2 is mas mataas nga naman siya sa 1, which is male, hindi natin masabi na yung data is mas mataas yung female kesa sa male. Kinategorize lang natin siya as 1 and 2, which is male and female. Walang order, walang ranking. So, another example of nominal level of measurement is we have eye color. What is the color of your eyes? Flavor of ice cream flavors. Ayan, sabihin na natin yung flavor pero wala siyang order or wala siyang ranking. Okay, next. Let's have the ordinal. So, from the word ordinal, order also deals with categorical variables like the nominal level, but in this level, ordering is important. So, same kay nominal na nagka-categorize kayo ng characteristics, pero dito lang merong order or may ranking. So, distances between attributes or characteristics do not have any meaning. So, wala pong meaning yung distances nila sa isa't isa. Okay. So, let's have an example. So, ang example natin dito is yung code. Ginamitan natin from 0 to 5 ng educational attainment. So, 0 less than high school, meaning hindi ka nakapag-high school. 1, some high school. Nakapag-high school ka pero hindi ka nakapagtapos. 2, high school degree. So, natapos mo yung high school. 3, some college. Nakapag-college ka pero hindi mo natapos. 4, college degree. Graduate ka ng college. And 5 is post-college or mga masters. Ngayon, nirank natin siya, 'di ba, from 0 to 5. So, meron na siyang ranking kasi mas mataas si post-college kaysa kay less than high school. So, nirank na natin siya or may order na po siya. Is the distance from 0 to 1 is the same with 3 to 4? Of course, hindi po. Okay? Wala pong meaning ang distance nila sa isa't isa. Another example is socioeconomic status. We have yung 1 na represent as low income, 2 middle income, and 3 is high income. Of course, no, since we are talking about the socioeconomic status, we have ranking or order. High income, mas mataas siya sa middle income. Si middle income, mas mataas siya sa low income. So, naka-in order po sila. That's why it is ordinal. So, yung distance pa ng 1 to 2 ay same sa 2 to 3? Of course, hindi po. Okay, ano ba mga another example ni ordinal? So, another example po nito is yung kapag magre-rate po tayo ng movie. So, i-rate natin from 1 to 10. 10 is the highest and then 1 is the lowest. So, nagkaroon na kayo ng rating, nagkaroon na ng ranking. So, pasok po siya sa ordinal. Another example is yung pain level ratings. Ayan, yung level ng pain na nararamdaman nyo, i-rate nyo from 1 to 5. So, 5 is the highest and 1 is the lowest. So, in order, meron po siyang ranking. That's why it is under the ordinal. Okay? And next, we have the interval. So, pag sinabi naman natin interval, when distance between attributes has meaning. Okay. Ang bawat distance po ng bawat given na characteristics ay may meaning. Data at this level does not have starting point. Wala siyang starting point. Ibig sabihin, pwede siyang maging negative, pwede siyang maging positive. Next, no naturals, zero starting point, and note that ratios don't make any sense in interval. So here, in interval po, meron pong value or meron pong meaning o halaga si 0. Ano bang best example natin dito? We have the temperature. So, merong note kanina na yung ratios daw po ay, ayan, don't make any sense. Kasi po, hindi natin pwedeng sabihin na yung dalawang 40 degrees, equivalent nun, isang 80 degrees. Okay? Hindi po natin yan pwedeng sabihin. So, hindi po natin siya pwedeng i-ratio. That's why it is under the interval. And of course, here po, may value si 0. Kasi 'di ba kapag 0 degree ang temperature natin, meron pa din siyang meaning. Hindi naman nawawala yung heat. Okay? So may meaning pa din siya. Another example is we have IQ test score. So kapag nag-IQ test ka and then nalabas yung result mo, pwede ka pa din naman makakuha ng score na 0 at may meaning 'yon, no? Let's say ang meaning nun is ikaw ay mentally retarded or kung ano man ang meaning niya. So, dito may value po si 0. May meaning. Okay, kabaliktaran niya si ratio. So, si ratio po, ito naman yung walang value ang kanyang 0. Okay, pag 0, 0 talaga. At ang starting point po ni ratio ay 0. Kay interval, di ba, wala siyang starting point. So, either pwedeng maging negative, pwedeng maging positive. So, si ratio po ay since starting point niya ay 0, then lahat po ng positive numbers lang ang under kay ratio. So, ano ang example na ratio? That is ratio po ha. So, example is weight. So, yung weight natin, it is a ratio variable since a weight of 4 grams is twice as heavy as a weight of 2 grams, which is tama naman, no? Ayan, twice. Si 4 po ay twice as heavy ng weight ng 2 grams. So, kanina kasi walang sense yung ratio kay interval. Dito po kay ratio is meron po. Ayan. Another example po nito is height and the number of siblings, etc. So again, remember po, si interval po, we have the 0, ayan, is may meaning, may value, may halaga. And then si ratio naman po, wala pong meaning ang kanyang 0 or walang meaning ang 0, pero starting point niya po ay 0. Okay? So, ang mga example nito, yung weighing scale. So, before ka pa magtimbang, saan ang starting point ng weighing scale? Sa 0. So, weight is an example of a ratio. Ano pa bang example? Yung sa speed ng cars. No, before mo pa paandarin yung car, or yung sasakyan, ang starting point po nun ay sa 0 din. So, that is an example of a ratio. So, again, qualitative and quantitative. When we say qualitative, we are categorizing the characteristics and attributes of the given person or object or the variable. While quantitative, we are talking about the quantity, can be countable or counted, and can be measured. So, si nominal at ordinal po ay under ni qualitative. Si ratio naman, tsaka si interval ay under ni quantitative. Okay, so let's have this note. Number 1, level of measurement or scale of measure is a classification that describes the nature of information within the values assigned of the variables. Next is some of the variables can acquire any of the levels of measurement depending on how each variable is being measured. Ayan. So, example po natin dito si age, no? Yung age ng tao. So, it is a ratio scale since, di ba, ang starting point naman talaga ay 0 bago ka ipanganak. Okay? Ngayon, pwede din siyang ma-under ng ordinal data kapag kinategorize mo na siya as early adolescence, age 10 to 14, middle adolescence, age 15 to 17, and late adolescence, age 18 to 24. Tsaka mo siya makakonsider as ordinal kapag kinategorize mo siya as early, middle, and late adolescence. Pero pag age lang ang pinag-usapan, then that is a ratio. Okay, so now let's have the math drills, and here we will determine the level of measurement on the following variable. So first one, we have class student number. Okay, yes, that is a nominal. Next, sex, it can be male or female. That is also a nominal since ika-categorize mo lang yan as male or female. Next, number of siblings. Of course, that is a ratio. So, para mas mapadali po sa atin, identify muna natin na if it is quali or quanti. Pag quali, dalawa na lang pagpipilian mo. Nominal ba siya or ordinal? Kapag quanti, ratio or interval. Okay? And don't forget na si interval po, ang madalas lang na example sa kanya or sikat na example sa kanya ay si temperature and IQ test scores. Basta tatandaan nyo, pag may value yung 0, yun po ay interval. Pag wala, then that is a ratio. Okay? Next, weight and height. Of course, that is a ratio. Age of mother. Na-example ko na siya. Kapag kinategorize natin as early, middle, at late, tsaka lang siya magiging nominal. Pero since age ang tinatanong, then that is a ratio. Next, usual daily allowance in school and daily food expenditure in school in pesos. Opo, that is countable. So, that is quantitative. Now, it is interval or ratio. Okay, so that is a ratio. Next, usual number of text messages sent in a day. Okay, that is also a ratio. Usual sleeping time, kung anong oras ka natutulog. Ayan, nominal lang. Okay? So, kakategorize mo lang din naman yan, no? As kung anong oras ka natutulog, let's say, starting 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Ayan, most preferred color. Favorite color mo. Of course, same, that is nominal. Kakategorize mo lang din yung mga colors. Ayan, wala rin pong ranking yan, ha? And last is happiness index for the day. Let's say, pinarate sa'yo from 1 to 10 kung gaano ka kasaya ngayong araw. 10 is the highest and 1 is the lowest. So, meron na siyang order. That's why it is under the ordinal. Okay? Next, let's have the summary of the level of measurement. Again, we have 4 levels. We have nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. So again, in nominal, we just categorize the given attributes or characteristics. Same with ordinal, but in ordinal, categories are in order or we have ranking. Okay? In interval naman and ratio, interval po, no zero starting point. Si zero po sa kanya ay may value or may meaning. However, in ratio naman, ang starting point niya ay 0 and then wala pong value or meaning sa kanya si 0. Okay? Next, second topic that we will be discussed today will be all about sampling techniques. So, it is very useful in your research subject. Ayan. So, ano ba yung important statistical terms na tatandaan natin if you're talking about sampling techniques? So, we have 2. The population and the sample. And of course, we already discussed this, that the population is a set which includes all measurements of interest to the researcher. So, meaning the total number of members. Okay? Ayan. And then, subset, as sample, we have, it is a subset of the population. So, meaning, sila na yung mga na-select mo out from your population. Okay? Now, what are the pros and cons in using total population and sampling as a respondent in a research? So, ano ba ang pros and cons pag ginamit mo si population as your respondents? At ano ba ang pros at cons kapag ginamit mo si sample as your respondents? Ayan. Okay, so of course, kapag ginamit mo si population, usually too large to attempt to survey all of its members. Super time consuming siya dahil napakadami nun ng iyong population. Napakarami nila, napakalaki. So, super time consuming, hindi ka kagad matatapos. Ngayon, ang maganda naman doon is accurate yung makukuha mong result kasi lahat sila ay iyong kinuha as respondent. Next, a carefully chosen sample can be used to represent a population. So, dito naman, si sample naman, kapag ginawa mo siyang respondent, then, mas mapapadali ang work mo, less yung time na mako-consume mo, and of course, less din yung gastos mo. Pero yun nga, medyo hindi siya ganun ka-accurate or hindi magiging ganun ka-accurate yung iyong makukuhang result. Pero syempre, magkakaroon pa rin magiging accurate pa rin siya kapag careful mong kinuha or sinelect yung iyong magiging sample out from the population. And the sample reflects the characteristics of the population from which it is drawn. So, kung sino yung mga nakuha mo or na-select mong sample from your population, yun yung magre-reflect na characteristics mula sa kanila. Okay? Now, paano mo kukunin yung iyong respondents? O, paano mo pipiliin yung iyong respondents? So, meron tayong dalawang type ng sampling techniques. First is the non-probability and second is the probability sampling. So, when we say non-probability sample, members are selected from the population in some non-random manner. While probability sample, each member of the population has a known non-zero probability of being selected. So here, in non-probability po, ang ginawa mo dito sa iyong respondents, ikaw mismo yung pumili based on their availability, kung saan po mas convenient based on your judgment. Okay? Ibig sabihin, hindi lahat ng member ng population mo may chance na ma-select as a sample. Okay? Kung mapapansin nyo, medyo biased yon. Pagdating naman kay probability sample, nilist mo lahat yung members ng population mo and then ginawa mo, nilagay mo sa fishbowl lahat ng names nila and then kumuha ka or bumunot ka. So, meaning lahat sila may chance pa din na ma-select as a sample. So, dito sa probability sampling, mas less po yung pagiging bias natin in choosing our respondents. Okay? So, we have here under the probability and non-probability sampling. So, non-probability sampling, we have 4: convenience, judgment, quota, and snowball. Probability sampling, we have also 4: simple random, systematic, stratified, and cluster sampling. So, meaning we have 8, sampling techniques. Okay, ngayon, kailan natin gagamitin si non at si probab? Okay. So, si non-probability, magagamit natin siya kapag meron lang tayong particular or specific traits na kailangan. Usually, ginagamit po ito sa mga qualitative research. Ayan. So, random is impossible since ikaw po mismo yung nag-select ng iyong magiging respondent based on your judgment or based po sa kung saan po convenient or kung sino lang po yung available. So, there is no generalization from the population. Siyempre, pwede po natin siya pwedeng i-generalize. Kung ang kinuha lang naman nating respondents is tayo mismo ang pumili. So, hindi natin siya pwedeng i-generalize out from the population. And usually po, ginagamit to sa mga initial study or mini research, sinan probability sampling. Pagdating naman kay probability sampling, dito yung pagiging bias po ay nare-reduce. Kasi nga naman, lahat ng iyong members ng population may chance na ma-select as a respondents, okay, or as a sample. Next, dito makakakuha po tayo ng accurate na sample. Saktong-sakto, syempre, dahil lahat sila nakunan mo ng data. Okay, and here, syempre, pwede na tayong mag-generalize. Pwede na tayong mag-generalize from the population since lahat nga kasi sila ay iyong respondents. Okay? Ayan. So, let's start with the non-probability sampling. Ayan. Let's start with the first non-probability sampling, which is the convenience sampling. So, here, obtaining units or members who are mostly conveniently available. It consists of units which are obtained because cases are readily available. A researcher determines the required sample size and then simply collects data on that number of individuals who are available easily. So, as you can see po, si convenience sampling, ayan. So, kung sino lang po yung members na most conveniently available, kung sino po yung readily available. So, after mo daw ma-identify yung sample size or the total number of respondents, simply magko-collect ka lang ng data on that number of individuals who are easily available. Ibig sabihin kung sino lang yung convenient. Halimbawa, ang study mo ay magfo-focus sa teachers ng senior high school sa UCC. Pupunta ka ngayon sa faculty ng senior high school. And then, pagdating mo doon, kung sino yung mga nandong teacher, sila lang yung iyong i-interviewin or yung iyong bibigyan ng questionnaire. Okay? Sila na yung magiging sample mo. Kung sino yung available. Okay? Next, it is often used during preliminary research efforts to get an estimate without incurring the cost or time required to select a random sample. Okay? So, again, when we say convenience sampling po, kung sino po yung readily available. So, kung saan po kayo mas convenient. Kung sino lang yung convenient sumagot ng inyong research question or kung sino yung available na pwede nyong interviewin. But of course, syempre pasok din dapat dun sa objectives ng inyong study, no? Kung ang focus ninyo syempre dapat about teachers, then dapat teachers ang inyong interviewin or bibigyan ng question. Okay? Next, second non-probability sampling is we have the judgment or purposive sampling. So, here, the sample is selected based upon judgment. Nakadepende daw sa judgment mo. Let's say, ang focus mo ay mga summa cum laude graduates. Siyempre po, may purpose dapat, no? Kung sino yung mga summa cum laude graduate, sila lang po dapat yung maging sample mo or maging respondents mo. And make sure, syempre, na graduate po talaga sila as summa cum laude. Okay? Researcher selects a typical group of individuals who might represent the larger population and then collects data from this group, also known as judgmental sampling. When using this method, the researcher must be confident that the chosen sample is truly representative of the entire population. So, hindi kayo pwedeng kumuha ng magiging respondents inyo na hindi naman kayo sure kung pasok nga ba talaga siya or pwede nga ba talaga siyang maging respondent ng study nyo. Kung ang focus nyo ay mga summa cum laude graduate, then pwede nyo silang hingan siguro nung diploma, no, na nagpapakita na sila ay summa cum laude. Okay? Para ma-sure po natin. Yan. And that is the that is the judgment or purposive sampling. Next is we have the quota sampling. So from the word quota, so sampling is in this process of selecting a subset of the population for analysis to save time and resources. So the selection of the sample is made by the researcher who decides the quotas for selecting sample from the specified subgroups of the population. So let's say for example, yung interviewer need niya ng data sa 40 na adults tsaka sa 20 na adolescents para daw po malaman niya yung students' television viewing habits. Okay, so paano niya isa-select yon? So yung magiging selection niya, 20 adult men and 20 adult women, and then 10 adolescent girls and 10 adolescent boys. So, dito ikaw yung magsiset ng iyong quota or ng iyong total number of respondents. Kung ano po yung target mo na total number ng respondents. And out from that, kapag nakaselect ka na ng iyong quota, out from that, magsaselect ka naman ng kukunin mong respondents. Okay? Based, syempre, doon sa iyong quota. Next, we have the snowball sampling. So, in snowball sampling, it is a special non-probability method used when the desired sample characteristic is rare. So, ito yung mga study po, no, na ang kanilang mga respondents ay mahirap hanapin or mahirap hagilapin. Yan. So, it may be extremely difficult or cost-prohibitive to locate respondents in this situation. And this technique relies on referrals. Referrals siya parang networking from initial subjects to generate additional subjects. So, meaning, kung meron ka ng isang subject or isang respondent, sa kanya ka ngayon magtatanong if para sa mga future subjects mo pa or future respondents. Okay? So, ang nangyari dito, pasa-pasahan, no? Ito din yung mga study po na medyo confidential. Let's say, ang study mo, nagfo-focus sa drug use. Ayan. So, syempre, no, hindi ka naman po pwedeng pumunta sa labas. Let's say, face-to-face classes, hindi ka naman pwedeng pumunta sa gate. Tapos, kung sino yung papasok sa gate, tatanungin mo, drug user ka ba? Pwede ba kitang ma-interview? Ayan. So, dito po, diyan po natin siya gagamitin, si snowball sampling sa mga confidential study po. Ang mangyayari dyan, pag may nakita ka ng isa, yung isang yon ituturo ka ulit sa iba pa. Hanggang sa makakuha ka na ng sapat na number of respondents. Okay? Ayan. So, it lowers search cost. However, it introduces bias. Yes, bias nga siya because the technique itself reduces the likelihood that the sample will represent a good cross-section from the population. Okay? So, again, we have 4 non-probability sampling. We have the first is the convenience sampling. Second is the judgment or purposive sampling. Third is the quota sampling, and fourth is the snowball sampling. Okay, so now let's proceed with our probability sampling. Here we have also 4 types of probability sampling, and let's start with the simple random sampling. So it is the purest form of probability sampling. Here, each member of the population has an equal and known chance of being selected. So, yung member daw ng population mo, sa simple random sampling, lahat sila may chance na ma-select as your respondent or as your sample. Let's say, for example, ang focus ng study mo ay ABM grade 11 students. Ayan, ABM strand lang. Ngayon, ang gagawin mo kung gagamitin mo si simple random sampling, let's say kukunin mo yung list ng ABM students ng grade 11. Then after that, pwede mo silang i-list. Yan, listing method. And then after that, lagay mo sa fishbowl and then bumunot ka ng ang target mo halimbawa ay 100 na students. Bumunot ka ng 100. Then lahat sila may chance na mabunot. Okay, another example po is yung sa recitation po, tuwing recitation time. Si teacher, nagpapaprovide sa inyo ng 1-8 index card. Ngayon, kapag walang sumagot na classmate sa kanyang question, then anong gagawin niya? Shuffle yung index card and out from that index card, ngayon dun siya kukuha ng magsasagot or sasagot sa kanyang question. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, lahat kayo kabado. No. Kasi, lahat kayo may chance na mabunot. Okay? That is a simple random sampling. Ayan. So, when there are very large populations, it is often difficult to identify every member of the population. So, the pool of available subjects becomes biased kapag napakarami or napakalaki ng iyong population. An best example nga po nito is a fishbowl technique. Yan. Second, let's have the systematic random sampling, meaning there is a system. So, it is often used instead of random sampling. It is also called an end name selection technique. So, for example po, yung isang fast food ay kaka-open lang, yung store nila. So, syempre, meron agad yan pa-free. Ayan, since kaka-open lang nila. Let's say, ang sinet niya, every 10 customer na papasok sa kanilang store is magkakaroon ng free ice cream. So, divisible by 10. So, yung pang 10, yung pang 20, yung pang 30, yung pang 40, yung pang 50, and so on and so forth. So, may system. And that is ang end name selection technique. So, after the required sample size, same din, meron kang required na sample size dito. Every end record is selected from a list of a population members. And if the list does not contain any hidden order, this sampling method is as good as random sampling. So, it is only advantage over the random sampling technique is simplicity. So, this is the example na the researcher has a population total of 100 individuals and need 12 subjects. So, ang population po nila ay 100. Pero ilan lang ang need niya? 12 lang po na respondent. So, anong ginawa niya? Nag-pick mo na siya ng unang number, which is yung pang-fifth, yung pang-fifth po sa member. And then, sabi niya, yung interval daw dapat ng bawat member ay 8. Yung gap nila, 8. So, 5, si pang-fifth member, and gap is 8. So, yung pang-13th member, gap ay 8 ulit. Pang-21, gap ay 8. Pang-29, and so on and so forth. So, meron na siyang 12 na respondents or sample. And that is a systematic random sampling. Okay, next. Third, we have the stratified sampling. So here in stratified sampling, we have a formula po. Ayan, formula po para malaman natin yung kukunin nating respondents in every subgroups. So ang formula po natin dito, we have the total sample size. Ayan, divide by the entire population times the subgroup. So, pag sinabi nating total sample size, that is the total number of your desired respondents. Okay? And then, entire population, syempre, yung total number ng population na meron ka. And then, yung population ng subgroup, yung bawat grupo, ilan sila. So, stratified sampling is commonly used probability method that is superior to random sampling because it reduces sampling error. A stratum is a subset of the population that share at least one common characteristic such as males and females. So identify relevant stratums and their actual representation in the population. It is used to select enough subjects from each stratum. So each stratum meaning each subgroups po. Ayan. Often used when one or more of the stratums in the population have a low incidence relative to the other stratums. So let's have this example. So we need to compute for the respondents needed in a stratified sampling for every stratum with a given. So let's say this is your sample size, which is 338 people. Ngayon, si sample size po, meron po talaga siyang formula na gagamitin para makuha yung total number ng sample size niya. Pero i-discuss natin yun sa mga susunod na discussion. Ngayon, ang ginawa natin, naglagay na muna tayo or nag-set na muna tayo ng total number of respondents, which is 338. And of course, we have here the total number of population, si 2,802, which is yung result pag pinag-add mo yung bawat number of population ng bawat stratum. So, 1,500 plus 926 plus 376, that is equal to 2,802, which will be your total population. Ngayon, ang gagawin mo, aalamin mo, ilan ba ang respondents na kukunin mo from grade 11, ilan ba from grade 12, at ilan ba from junior high school. So, para makuha mo siya, gagamitin mo yung formula natin, which is the sample size divided by the entire population times the population of every subgroup. So, unahin natin si grade 11. So, 338 is your sample size divided by 2,802. And then the result, you will multiply it to the population of grade 11, which is 1,500. And then after that, yung result po is dapat i-round off po natin since we are talking about people. Ayan, tao ang pinag-uusapan natin. So, dapat siya ay whole number. So, 338 divide 2,802 times 1,500. Okay, so round off, we will have 181 respondents from grade 11. So, this is your number of respondents from grade 11. Next, from grade 12, we have 926. So, same pa din yan. Palitan na lang natin to. 926. 338 plus 2,802 times sa population na meron sa grade 12, which is 926. So, what is the result? Okay, so we have 112 respondents from grade 12. And last, from junior high school. Yan. So, ang population po ni junior high school ay 376. So, ilan ang kukunin natin respondents from junior high school? So, palitan natin to. Yan. So, palitan natin siya ng 376. So, 338 divide 200 or 2,802 times 376, that is 45. So, 45 students or 45 respondents from the junior high school. So, when you add the number of respondents in each stratum, you should get the total number of your sample size. So, 181 plus 112 plus 45, it must be 338. So, dito nalas yung pagiging bias natin since nakadepende yung pagkuha mo ng number of respondents sa dami ng population per stratum. Unlike sa quota sampling na ikaw mismo yung nag-set kung ilan ang kukunin mo in every subgroup. Okay? And that is the stratified sampling. So now, last, under the probability sampling is we have the cluster sampling. Andiyan na mismo sa name niya or sa type niya. Cluster, clustering, per cluster. So it is used when the population has natural but relatively homogeneous or similar groups. It is often used in market research survey. So ito na yung mga pangmalakihang research study na pangmalakihang pag-aaral na or malaki talaga yung kanyang magiging population. Let's say, ang focus nito is buong Pilipinas, no? Kung buong Pilipinas, kung ipe-per cluster mo siya, pwede mo siyang i-cluster per region. Or, mas madali naman, para konti lang ang clusters mo, pwede mo siyang i-cluster per Luzon, Visayas, or Mindanao. And then after that, gagamitan mo siya ng stratified para makuha mo yung total number of respondents na kukunin mo per cluster. Kung ngayon, di alam kung ilan ba ang population ng bawat lugar na yon, then papasukan mo siya ngayon ng quota sampling. Okay? So the total population in cluster sampling is divided into groups, which is clustering. A simple random sample of the groups is being selected, and the required information is collected from a simple random sample of the elements within each selected group. Okay? So now we have here a question. How large should my sample size be? O gaano daw kalaki or gaano daw kadami yung dapat maging respondents mo in your study? The answer is, it depends. It should be large enough to be an accurate representation of the population. So, dapat nakadepende sa population. Kung napakalaki ng population, dapat marami-rami rin ang iyong sample para kahit naman paano maging accurate ang iyong resultang makuha. And then, large enough siya para ma-achieve yung statistical significant results. Okay? So, that's it. If you have question, then you can comment it down below, or you can ask me directly in our synchronous class. So, thank you for watching.